Welcome back to Amazon Internet Services presents to you Economic Times Global Digital League 2.0 powered by Kindred. Very quickly, I want to welcome our speakers to the next subject, very interesting one. This is about emerging technology, innovation, and GCC-led transformation and drive for the Global Capability Center 3.0. Now, in today's connected world, you are competing everywhere and with everyone. Technology landscape is changing every second of our existence in true sense. With high-tech solutions to everything possible, mankind is getting a step closer every day to a fully technological existence. Now, global capability centers are acting like the change agent here. In this session, we will explore how our back office enablers are changing rules of the game and capitalizing some of the fastest emerging technologies like AI, ML, blockchain, and analytics. How it will create opportunities for GCs to leapfrog to a digital state overall. And joining us as speakers, please welcome Prashant Doraisamy, Country Head for Continental India and Managing Director, Continental Automotive, along with Managing Director at DBOI Global Services, Deutsche Bank Group, Sandhya Vasudevan, and two of them is going to be co-CEO, Barclays Global Service Center India, Umar Ratnam Krishnan, and to moderate this, the finest we have Shalini Pillai, Office Managing Partner, KPMG Bangalore, India Leader, Global Capability Center. So without further ado, Shalini, over to you for this very interesting Leaders Fireside Chat.
Thank you, Nitin, for that highly energized introduction. And good evening to all our listeners today. It's a pleasure to be here. And like you can see, I am joined by three fantastic industry leaders who are here to share their perspective. And I'll get into this session today. And before I begin getting into this conversation, I must highlight Nitin at the very core. I would just like to say that the whole concept of back office enablers, I think that's long changed. The last 18 months, we've actually changed, and we've actually seen a front-to-back kind of initiative being driven across the degrees of separation between the ultimate customer and the global capability centers change quite rapidly. And given all of that, today we're really going to talk about how GCCs are at the core and in the top right this digital transformation during the change. So I know our listeners have been at the end of a long day of a lot of interesting panels. I promise you an interesting conversation, lots of examples as we get into the session. To open this, and I'll invite Sandhya to share some of her views and perspectives. Sandhya, the last 18 months have been truly unprecedented. So when you kind of look at what these 18 months have been, and GCC is in a position to drive global transformation, would love to hear some of your perspectives and just bring this alive with examples of how you're seeing GCCs transform for the global organization at large.
Thank you, Shalini, and good evening to everyone. As Shalini said, the last 18 months have been completely unprecedented. In a bank, you had a lot of jobs which you said could not be done in the infrastructure, back office kind of setup, which is what the GCCs are. And what we realized was literally within the first week, our traders were working remotely, our client-facing staff were working remotely, and our revenues actually increased quite substantially in the last year or so. The number of transactions, our volumes actually went up by 3x in the first 2 quarters because of the kind of change that was happening. When your financial markets are in a bit of a concern, the number of transactions go up as well. So what do the regulators want us to do? It is one of the most highly regulated industry. So they wanted business continuity. They were checking what our vendors were doing. They were looking at what the GCCs were doing. They wanted very close attention being paid to cyber risk, data protection risk, infosec, information security risks, and they were monitoring the people. What kind of issues did we have? And in the last year or two, we actually added a couple of thousand people in the GCCs, all remotely, virtually no contact with them, recruitment to getting them onboarded and working, all done remotely. What did that do across the board? It meant that it unlocked more potential for the GCCs. Add to this particular element is what Shalini called out, digitalization in the marketplace. More payments happening only digitally. The other, any other kind of movement of cash was not happening. And this was happening in every market. What that did for us was it unlocked more and more potential for the teams, more new roles. So the number of jobs went up, the complexity of activity went up. And frankly, there's no difference between the teams in New York or London or Frankfurt with the teams in India. And the level of interaction with either the client or with the regulators have been more or less the same. So this has actually been very good for us. And any unconscious biases about what could be done where have gone away.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Sandhya. So I heard you talk, everything gone up multifold, whether it was the trade volumes or the people you've added or the risks and expectations from the regulators. But just as a quick follow on, in terms of transformation being driven from the GCC, all thanks to technology, a quick comment on that before we move on.
Okay. The teams here were very much plugged into new opportunities that came up, whether it was they came up with solutions for the wealth management or the cash operations. Yeah. So they were very much plugged into what the front office was doing, and the technology teams were actively partnering as part of that front to back activity. Yeah. The level of interlock when it came to the client engagement, that again has a lot of transformational activity that gets built in. And coming from the banks, you're a little reluctant to kind of put the specifics out there into the public domain. But honestly, you have had to think very, very differently in order to solve the needs of the financial marketplace, the speed to market, the kind of opportunities to unlock. Because if you've got to increase your revenues and keep your profitability, all of that, I think the GCCs were right in the center of all that activity.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Sandhya. And I'm going to move away from financial services and coming to you, Prashant, from a very different industry. What does new tech, emerging tech, all of this really mean from where you're seeing it? And if you had to call out for us that one large change that's making the biggest impact, what would that be in your view?
Sure. Thank you, Shalini. Good evening, everyone. Also very pleased to be part of this eminent panel. If I had to talk about the new technology or the emerging technology in the automotive space, maybe I think all of us have understood that consumers have changed much faster than companies. I think consumers have gone more digital than companies. As a result of this, I think companies are struggling to catch up with this. Yeah. So if I have to specifically talk about automotive, I think automotive technologies are now purely based on safe, connected, and convenient mobility. So just to set up preamble, so today's cars are becoming much more software-defined vehicles. So what does it mean, the change? For example, if I have talked about a mobile phone, iPhone, it's just one processor, one display, one operating system. It just weighs about 200 grams and it doesn't travel. It's 0 kilometers per hour. If I have to compare that with a car, I think now the software-defined vehicles have got 100 microprocessors, 4 displays, 4 operating systems, hundreds of sensors. Maybe it weighs about 2,000 kgs, maybe it travels at a speed of about 250 kilometers. So if a software is faulty in a mobile phone, it's annoying. But if a software is faulty in a car, it can be really fatal. Yeah, I think the complete future of mobility is characterized by its high degree of connectivity and safety, as well as its convenience. Yeah, I think we have seen over a period of time that we got used to some amount of convenience at home. Then we started seeing that in office. Then we started seeing that in our Android phones. Now we start talking about why can't we have the similar convenience in my car as well. But when it comes to car, there are a lot of safety in this world. So which is driven by software. Yeah. So if I have to give a reference, today's car in an advanced country, a mid-sized car may have about 200 million lines of code. That's the complexity. And this is going towards 1 billion lines of code by 2025. So what does it mean compared to a fighter aircraft, which is just about 35 million lines of code, or a Facebook about 60 million lines of code? So that's the complexity what we are seeing, and with India being the best location, especially for software development, I think there are a lot of opportunities for the companies to host these GCCs in India. That's why you see a lot of automotive companies coming to India. I think some of these technologies, which includes AI, ML, cybersecurity, connectivity, cloud, are all this driving the impacts in terms of product innovation. For example, sometime back, in terms of, we made an announcement that digital door opener solution for one of the leading OEM. What does it mean when with a smart device integrated across our own solution called Cosma Continental Smart Access? Users will be able to access the vehicle without keys through a virtual key received in their smartphones. So this, just to give an example, these are some of the technological changes which are happening in our automotive space. I think the world is moving at an absolute unimaginable pace. I think if you have to keep up with this, I think you need to learn to keep up within, and I think stay relevant for the future. I think it's no longer the past perfect is important, which has brought the mindset of many of us, unfortunately. It is actually the future ready, which is going to be important. Hence, from my perspective, I think being agile and agile leadership is going to be a differentiator.
Thank you for that, Prashant. And clearly, you've given us a peek into that future. And we as consumers have gotten really spoiled with technology, right? Our expectations, our preferences are fast changing. And with safety and convenience at the core, I think the realm of possibilities that what you all are enabling is phenomenal. And I think you can really feel the power of what you can take to the front office, to that ultimate customer. So thank you for that. And in fact, on that note, and Uma, I'm going to come to you. We alluded to it right at the beginning to say back office enablers, I think far from that now, right? I mean, we're really talking front to back. We're talking making that impact. And this is a segment that has traversed this journey through 2 decades. From where you're seeing it, Uma, where do you see GCCs in that path of evolution today? And where do you think we're headed?
Yeah, thanks, Shalini, for that. So look, I look at GCCs as we're on phase 3 of a journey, right? 1.0, 2.0, and I think we're sort of started the 3.0 a couple of years ago. 1.0, very simple, I call it laying the foundation, which is really sort of, cost arbitrage. How can we get some scale? Let's drive some value, use the cost that we're saving to fund growth, low level work, low complexity work, and being the doer, right? We say you do. That was kind of phase 1. 2.0, I'd call it moving up the value chain broadly, right? Which is widening of the footprint of the kind of work that we're running across industries, automotive, technology, healthcare, and so on. Sort of slightly higher levels of activity, slightly more complex. But I think what's really exciting is what is 3.0. And GCCs of the future, the way I think about it, kind of 3 buckets. The first bucket, and I think the pandemic has actually leveled that playing field much quicker. 2 years ago, we started the journey, but literally, to Sandhya's point, because of the pandemic, there's really no difference. We're a global location company. Yeah, that location could be cities in India, London, New York. It's given such a level playing field. So if you actually look at where we're going, I like to think of it in 3 buckets. The first is really around saying GCCs are an integral part of the global business model, right? And therefore being real strategic partners for the business, enabled by technology, model, you evolve the model, or you make some dramatic efficiency changes, you actually make a change in the way that we actually do things. I'll give you one example here on this innovation and growth. Last year, the Barclays technology team sitting here, working with cards in Germany, working with wholesale onboarding in London, actually enabled Amazon customers in Germany to decide how they wanted to pay on checkout, whether they wanted a 3-month installment, a 48-month installment, and then everything happened digitally. Once you chose your payment, you got the opportunity to say, okay, here's what I want to do. Your KYC happened and off you went. Now, that is innovation for strategic growth, and it actually went really close to the customer. So that one bucket is really about being an integral part of the global business model, partner for innovation and strategic growth. The second way I look at the GCCs of the future, version 3.0, is what I would call, and Prashant referred to this, is really around agile organization, not just in the way we do things or quicker delivery. I mean, quicker delivery is now an absolute given for GCCs. And I'll give you another example. Last year, when we had COVID and the UK government rolled out a whole bunch of incentives for people, including mortgage holidays, stuff had to happen, and really, really quickly. Again, teams globally came together and within days, right, enabled automated consent forms or request forms from the customer, automated triaging of the requests that came in, because clearly thousands and thousands of requests came in. And then, activated robos for doing the back-end customer experience and customer contact. Now, agile in a matter of days, in a normal world, we wouldn't have been able to do that. And I think somehow that's become the new benchmark, right? If we can do it in 10 days, why can't we do it in normally took us 12 months? We should absolutely be able to do it in much, much shorter times. And I think this also meant internationally, globally connected agile teams. It's not somebody just sitting in in the GCC alone trying to do this. And the third bucket I'd say is the GCC of the future is customer obsession and talent, right? Very broadly, getting really much closer to customers. And I've given you a couple of examples already. Global leadership roles being based out of GCCs, global leadership roles being completely fungible, and the kind of continuous investment for talent and skills of the future. Where the leadership is also going to look quite different, as we emerge from this and get into a post-pandemic world for GCCs. But I broadly look at version 3.0 as straddling these three, going forward.
Thank you, Uma. I absolutely love that framework that you set out. And I think the examples really brought to life how fast things are changing. In fact, to the points that we've heard all of you talk about, consumer preferences, if a consumer thinks of something, someone's already done it, and how you're being able to actually churn this out and drive outcome in this absolutely crunched timeline with innovation. I think that's a fantastic vision for where we're headed and where GCC version 3.0 stands. Honestly, I wish we could have gone on for a really long time. We're on a really crunched panel session here today, but there are a couple of questions from the audience, which I think we could quickly take. And one of them being, how are GCCs redesigning people practices in the current scenario? If each of you want to give one quick view or one dimension of people practice, that would be super. And I'll just go in the order we started. So Sandhya, just a very brief, quick view on that.
I think one people practice is the awareness of mental health. Earlier, it was all about physical health. Now there's a very significant role on mental health.
Yeah.
What that means is creating a sensitivity at every level, putting us all through the training and making sure that people are not just physically healthy, but also mentally okay to do the job.
Thank you. Thank you. Prashant?
Yes, Shalini. So if I have to talk about the disruptions which are happening, especially on the skill side, I think there's a huge need for reskilling, upskilling. Yeah. So looking at this, last year we started for a global framework, what we call as a software academy. So this is housed in Bangalore for the entire continental globally. So Software Academy is helping all our employees to reskill themselves over a period of time to newer technologies. That's one certainly which has helped us to be much more agile in terms of catching up with the new technologies.
Super. Thank you. Uma, your quick view?
So a quick one, well-being, absolutely. I think Sandhya talked about it, but the one I'll pick on is about inclusivity. People practices being much more inclusive, having inclusive leaders, designing our processes and interactions and collaborations, and actually spending a lot of time to understand inclusive practices, given the new world.
Absolutely. In a virtual hybrid, inclusivity, mental health, and upskilling, I think 3 absolute buzzwords for the wider industry, and one we're all working towards. And as we bring this session to a wrap, I'm going to ask you all for one word for this following question. When you think of what are the forces shaping the GCCs going forward, and this again is a question from the audience, very crisp, what is that force that comes to your mind? And whoever wants to go first, I'm good.
There's a German word, Zeitgeist, which means spirit of the times. You look at all the various ecosystem changes that are there, and how do you ride that wave? That's what that word means.
Lovely. We learned something there, Sandhya. Thank you.
I'll say it's not one word, but it's seamless global collaboration powered by technology.
All right. And which speaks to your earlier point on GCCs being absolutely integral to that model. So thank you for that. And Prashant, your quick words on it.
I think for future success, while we are struggling to address new technologies, new challenges, I think how do we start being comfortable with being uncomfortable? Yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you so much for that. It was a pleasure chatting with you all. My apologies, it had to be as rushed, but some lovely, crisp perspectives coming through there. Thank you so much yet again. And with that, let me hand over back to Mithun. Mithun, over to you.
Thank you so much, Shalini. I love the last line that Mr. Prashant did say, being comfortable at the same time being uncomfortable is the way forward. I think that's what we're stepping into. I also like what Sandhya mentioned about mental health awareness in the recent time. It's increasing, but it should really speed up, is what I'm sure everybody will agree to. With that, thank you, Shalini, our moderator. Uma, thank you so much for joining us. Sandhya, and of course, Prashant, that was indeed very, very interesting. But what more? We got one last after this one, so smile and join me on the other side.